they're vouching for you already, and you did such a good job with them, they're referring you, and that's kind of how you got to grow.
Yeah.
Grow your business.
Hey, everybody. My name is Tom LaFaso. This is the Follow the Winners podcast. I'm here today with Anthony Curcio. We're going to be talking about Follow the Winners, everything in between, the excitement of his life, and kind of bouncing back and forth on his success. And, I'm going to be asking him questions on how he got there and so on and so forth. We're trying to basically find people's answers to the shortcuts in life and maybe kind of find what's working for them. So I have Anthony with me today. I'm just going to introduce him. Hey, Anthony, how are you today? Introduce yourself,
Hey,
please.
Tom, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure. My name's Anthony Curcio. I'm the managing member of Curcio Law PLLC. We are a full-service real estate firm specializing in real estate sales, purchases, land use, zoning, leasing, and financing. Also do some work for building violations and landlord tenant matters as well. So we kind
Nice.
of run the gamut on the real estate end when it comes to legal services.
Yeah, you're pretty much well diversified in the industry. Going further into who you are, I mean, that's kind of, what you're doing in a sense. But give me some background on you. Like, where'd you grow up and where'd you go to school and how'd you get to where you are in a sense?
Okay, born and bred on Long Island. Grew up in North Massapequa. Went to Farmingdale High School. From there, went to Florida State University. Sorry. Went to Florida State University. Graduated from there. Came back to Long Island. Um, Out of school, became a real estate broker, along with working for a local municipality, doing planning, and then eventually working my way into the code enforcement division of the municipality. Um, you know, really getting into the real estate broker end of things was great, but I kind of entered it in 2008 when we had the recession, so my timing wasn't perfect. Was a real good time for me, however, in just learning the business and how to go out there and grind, and learn the sales end of things. And I had a great mentor over there where I worked. I worked at the time it was Coldwell Banker, Harbor Light. Jerry O'Neill was my broker. He was a real great mentor to me when I was a broker. Showed me the ins and outs of everything. And I think he's hit his 40th year or 45th year in the business. I mean, the guy's been doing it forever. He's a legend in South Amityville and Amity Harbor in that area. So really cut my teeth learning the real estate business through him. And then on the municipal side, I learned a lot regarding zoning and the building, the building aspect of things and how the municipality really goes about reviewing a building permit application and a zoning board application and that sort of thing. So it really got exposed to a lot of young age out of school, not exactly on the legal front. Well, I mean, some things with the zoning, but I did the broker thing for about 5 years, and I was in code enforcement for, I want to say 10. And I just, I wanted to do something more with my life. And I know I was already in the real estate industry. My family has a history in the real estate business as well. My family has been developing on Long Island for probably 20 to 30 years now, doing senior housing, rental apartments, and market rate
Oh,
developments.
wow.
So I decided to go to law school at night. I went to Toro for 3.5 years at night, worked full time. I was able to take the bar and pass in the first time, and from there I went into the assistant town. I was an assistant town attorney. Went into the town attorney's office, worked there for a few years. Did some litigation. Wasn't really suited for me. I'm not really a confrontational person.
Hmm.
Wanted to get back into the real estate game, so I left there. Was presented with a job offer at one of the biggest firms on the island, Sir Tillman Ballin. They do a lot of, their bread and butter is real estate and more particularly the condominium space. So when I was there, did a lot of land use, zoning, and transactional work. Did a lot of the closings for the condominiums that they were selling, and whatever real estate investor clients we had, I was assisting with land use and zoning applications. with the partners that were doing that at the time. Was there for about 3 years, decided, I wanted to kind of hone my skills a little more. And it's just, I decided to go to a smaller firm. I went to Brown, Altman and DeLeo, where they were also very real estate centric, but I got exposed to a lot more when I was there. I was able to do a lot more things, which really made me a well-rounded attorney. I was able to do everything. I was able to do leasing, zoning, transactional work, and a lot of financing. I worked with, Keith Brown, Dave Altman, and Mike DeLeo, who they were all great mentors and kind of showing me the way and helping me hone my skills and as an experienced attorney. So, I owe them a lot as well. After about 3 years, I just decided, I went to law school later in life. I turned 40 years old, and, it's kind of a pivotal moment in a man's life, and, wanting to do something different for their family, for themselves. And I thought it was a good opportunity for me to kind of branch out on my own. So that's what I decided to do, with the support of my family and everything. Took the leap, and in October of 2022, Curcio Law was officially in business. So here I am today, and we are in March. And, the economy and the market conditions haven't been the best, but I've been able to just keep grinding, and I've been, killing myself, and I've been trying to, and I've gotten some clients, and, things are on the up and up, and we're building a lot of momentum, and things are looking good for the remainder of 2023. So very excited to see what happens.
Yeah, that's super exciting. I like how you've kind of had so many different experiences that have, like, without all those different experiences that you've had, it probably wouldn't mesh to where you are today. Like, you can pinpoint each of those being like, yeah, this one worked well, this one worked well, and you grab things from here. And I can even say the same thing about my own past. Like,
Yeah.
that's awesome,
Yeah. I think it makes me a better, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but it makes me a better attorney than other people that just have 8 years experience doing one particular thing. I have a bigger network of people. I have more people I can reach out to, not just through my family, just through people I've touched throughout, different aspects of my journey and my careers that I've had. It really makes me a well-rounded attorney, a five-tool attorney, if you want to call it that, like a five-tool baseball player, kind of the same thing. There's not too many things I haven't seen, but, you never say you've seen everything, because there's always something that makes you shake your head when
yeah.
when
I
you're an
believe it.
attorney, or in any industry for that matter,
Yeah.
So.
No, I believe it. But either way, I think that's huge as far as even like taking that leap to working on your own. I was just listening to Rob Dyrdek has his own podcast, and I was listening to that
Sure.
recently, and he was talking about the different levels of preparedness that you need in order to really start a business. Now, you don't really need any level of preparedness to start a business. I mean, you can just really just go out and start a business. But he was talking about like the different levels of fast tracking, and the more prepared you are, the more you know about something, the faster track you're on basically to success. And for me, it was pretty interesting because, like, even in my own industry, like, I had to teach myself a lot of the video aspect of things, but I've done a lot of marketing and sales. So I was able to really pull in all these things that I've learned from doing marketing and sales for other companies for, like, realistically, like 5-6 years, and use that, to push me forward. So you saying that, this is exactly what I'm thinking of. But yeah, so, like, to segue even into the next question, I usually just ask this as like an icebreaker kind of thing, just to see what your opinion is on the matter. So the second question I have here is, what does success mean to you?
Wow, that's a heavy question.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, it means a lot to different people. I mean, I guess obviously business wise, being successful will mean, turning a profit, and, having a business that's, consistently successful in the law business, is doing good legal work and helping out your client in the best manner possible, and making sure they're protected the best way possible. That's my definition of success as a real estate attorney. If your client's protected and you're doing good legal work, the work speaks for itself. You know what I mean? And if you get to the end of the transaction and everybody's happy, then that's successful to me. Personally, it's different for everybody. For me, success is having a great family, great kids, and a supportive life, and I'm able to go out and do what I have to do to support my family to become successful. Because behind every good man is a great woman, they always say, and that's absolutely true in my opinion. You need a support system at home. You need someone to bounce stuff off of, and you get a lot of people, they won't give you an honest answer. I go home and I talk to my wife about something, and she's not shy. She will tell me exactly what she's thinking, and she'll tell me exactly what I'm doing wrong. And she's been a big time part of why I did this. And she's been, pivotal in me growing this thing and making it what it is. She's a very smart person, and I always go to her for advice, and she's very helpful with business, business wise. And so is my father. He's had small businesses. He's also involved in the family business. So I always go to him for advice on what I should do with this particular client, or if I run into a problem. He always seems to have the answer or a suggestion of how to go about something, and it always turns out to be the correct thing. So, success is it's just such a broad term, you know what I mean? But I hope I answered the question correctly. I kind of went on a tangent there, but it's being able to. You're gonna have to edit this part out. It's a lot of different things in my life. It's just having a great support system and being able to and being happy about my life, and just being happy. You know what I mean? Despite all the stress I'm going through, it's rather be doing this than anything else, honestly. So
yeah, but I mean, the way I look at it, even okay, fine, like yeah, you're putting yourself through stress and so on, but the best like metaphor I think for something like this is like a plant, in a sense. Like if you prune a plant, like you take a tree and you gotta like cut off most of the branches just so the following year you got like this big ass tree, basically.
yeah.
That's kind of how I look at it, in a sense, even for my own self. Is like I know I have to put in these like 14, 15-hour days where I'm like I literally feel like I'm slave driving myself, in a sense.
Yeah.
But I know that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and
Yeah.
that light to me is my version of success. And that's kind of what I'm getting from you, is like you just want to be able to get to the point where it's like you can, I mean, you're there. You can take care of your family, you're married, you have your own home, you have a lot of great things going for you, but you want even more than that, and that's awesome. That's what we all strive for, and reasons why we start businesses.
Right. It's never being content with where you are. A lot of people get to a certain spot and they want to stop. I'm always looking for the next thing, always want to expand my horizons, always want to keep growing as a person, professionally and personally. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
absolutely.
No, I agree with that. I don't even really want to stop like working at any point in my life,
No, it's like a shark, man. You stop moving, you die. You know what I mean? I hear stories like that all the time. People who retire and then 6 months later they're dead because they retired and they're not using their brain, they're not functioning, they're not moving around, they're not being productive.
Yeah. I have
obviously we're a little before that, me and you, especially you. I mean, but
yeah, no, absolutely, but like not necessarily am I showing up to like an actual job as an old man, but like just having your brain working in some kind of fashion that keeps you going. And if that means that it's like a money making factor, cool. Or if it's just realistically a job, like in some cases, even like for grandparents just taking care of their grandchildren, that will keep them alive enough to keep on going,
having a purpose in life, that's success. How about that?
Yeah.
Cut that whole tangent down.
Yeah.
Having a purpose every day, and that makes you a productive member of society. That's pretty successful. So
well, that's why I like to ask this, especially right off the bat, just because it really does break the ice and I guess gives a quick answer to a lot of people, in a sense, is like, what's your version of it? How do you look at it? And then the rest of the questions that I have going forward, we can almost understand your mentality, because it's like, trust me, I mean, a lot of people, I feel like everybody really feels the same way. Everybody kind of wants to work a little bit less and have a little bit more freedom with the people that they love in their lives, and not have to stress about the small things. That's realistically what everybody wants at the end of the day. and what I have realized is too is everybody has different levels of comfortability, like there's homeless people who are happy as a clam, there's people who
That's
have,
that could be for other reasons, but
yeah,
we
no,
can
for
get into
sure.
that
But
here.
then there's
Yeah.
people, who got
No,
millions
there's
of
people that
dollars.
make 50 grand a year and they're happier than anybody who makes,
Exactly.
5 million a year. I got you.
Exactly. So like
It's all a mental state.
totally, and as long as you meet your needs and those wants and those things, I truly am thinking that is success. And like there really is no way to say whose version is. So that's why, I like to ask it. But okay, so the next thing, you basically answered this for me kind of right off the bat. Like tell me about your business. You went into that a lot. So to not really even tell me about your business, let's go into like a specialty that you have for your company, and maybe like a real life scenario. And then there's like a second part to this question where I like to ask people like, why do you do it? So tell me about your business a little bit. Like, give me something special. Like, what are one of the things you specialize in?
One of the things I specialize in is land use and zoning. That's kind of my bread and butter. Always been exposed to that from when I started this whole journey, from being a broker and a planner to an attorney today.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's my bread and butter because it kind of exposes you to all the aspects of real estate. You're involved with the municipal side. You're involved with the investment side. They got to be able to carry the property, and there's costs involved with that. And that's, you have to find the best use for the property. So that involves a business decision by them and also the legal aspect of things. So
Hmm.
a lot of things are intertwined with that, in addition to, the purchase and sale of a property or a ground lease, depending on what you're looking to do. So the land use and zoning I like because it's never the same, and there's involves a little bit of everything. And it's it's more fun. Transactions are great, but I mean you're just dealing with a contract, and then
Yeah.
you come into a closing. Obviously residential closings and commercial closings are two different animals. Residential is, you're dealing with people that for a lot of them, it's their biggest investment they've ever made. And a lot of them don't know the process. So you're not only just acting as an attorney, making sure the contract is okay and the title is clear, you're also acting as a psychologist because a lot of these, a lot of people that hire you, they're looking for you to guide them and hold their hand along with dealing with a broker and the bank and all that stuff. So that's a lot of moving parts and a lot of people get overwhelmed. So
I
you're
believe
kind of
it.
there as the voice of reason to, talk them off the ledge and get them to the finish line, so to speak. So
Yeah.
with that, on that front, it's enjoyable because you're really helping people out, and they're very thankful for your help.
Yeah.
Commercial, it's just numbers and cents, and you're dealing with clients that are much more sophisticated than
Mm.
people that are buying homes usually. So they don't need their handheld as much. They know what they want. They know what they're looking for. It's just a matter of making the deal work for them.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more cut and dry. Back to the land use and the zoning, it's more enjoyable for me because it's what I know and it's what I've done. And it's kind of fun dealing with the municipalities because you get exposed to a lot of people and a lot of different things, and you kind of see your work. You kind of see what your work. There's a tangible. It's tangible. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
get the approval to build this. Then 6 months later, you see what you got the approval for actually being built. It's kind of a cool thing to say.
Yeah, that is cool. And I think at least from meeting you, I would say that I mean you basically said it, like being like a psychologist in a sense and like having to walk people through the process. And now knowing you and meeting you, a handful of times now, I would say that that is probably one of the things that separates you from a lot of people that do this type of work is that you're super personable, you're easy to talk to, like easy approachable, all those kinds of things.
Well,
Um,
I
where
appreciate
I'm
that.
Yeah, no, of course, but I'm sure in a lot of cases it's not always like that with people, especially in industries where it requires, a lot of knowledge and brain power and so on and schooling,
Yeah.
because sometimes that gets people who might not be the most people friendly people in a sense. You
Well,
know,
you get a lot of it, unfortunately, there's bad apples in every industry, but you get a lot of attorneys who act like they're doing you a favor by taking them on as a client, and that's not really a great attitude to have, because they're trusting you with whatever your matter may be.
Yeah.
So I'm always accessible. That's my main thing, because that's like the number one complaint we get as attorneys, that I can never get a hold of of the attorney I want to talk. I want to speak to him. We and I understand why a lot of attorneys are like that, because our time is what we bill by. We're billable hours. You hear that term all the time.
Hmm.
And our time is that's our service. Our time to your matter. It's very valuable to a lot of attorneys, but at the same time, there's always a human element to it. So you gotta, there's a little, give and take there.
Yeah.
I'm more fortunate. I can do that, and I have to do that because I'm a sole proprietor right now. Other attorneys, they have a little more leeway with that. But at the same token, we're also a service industry. So you want to be able to serve your client the best way possible. And if they need to speak to you, you should always be accessible to them. I mean, I get emails, phone calls, text messages. I always get back to people within the hour, because if I don't get back to them, they're going to, first they're going to get, a lot of times it's just, they need to know that everything's okay, or they need to hear from you. And that's the other thing. I don't want a client reaching out to me because they haven't heard from me. I'm always trying to stay on top of the client, letting them know what's going on, because they appreciate it. And then they're not sitting there wondering, oh, what's going on? I haven't heard from my attorney. Is my matter okay? If they ever reach out to me wondering what's going on, then I'm not doing my job. I got to always keep them in the loop on things. And if they have a question, I'm always, accessible to that, because you want to keep them feel like they're being serviced, and it's good customer service to them. And they remember that just as much as the legal work you did.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think we even said that when we had that, conversation the last time, me and you, is
Yeah.
just picking up the phone, answering, being there for people. It goes such a long way.
There's no excuse though, man. There really isn't. Like you have this thing with you everywhere you go, and you're always on it. There's no reason why you can't, even if you can't speak to somebody, shoot them an email or a text, be like, I'm on the phone. Let me call you back in 10 minutes. Or let me get back to you in an hour, or whatever. I'm jammed up with something. Just let them know that you actually got their message. Because sometimes they don't even know if you got the message. Then they start hounding you, and you don't want that. You don't want to go down that road either.
Yeah.
So.
No, absolutely. And these are such key takeaways for so many people, I feel.
And it's very simple stuff. It's not even just being an attorney. It's just running a business and, putting the client first a lot of times.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I truly feel that a lot of the clients that I've started to work with, that was one of the main things why they were like continue to work with me, and why I still have them as clients today, is because I answer the phone and I try and bend over backwards. I do extra work for them when I see I see the potential, like, okay, well, I could either let this just slide in a sense and not say anything, or I could bring it to their attention and be like, hey, I noticed this.
Yeah,
And
right.
you do that enough to people, they're like, wow, okay, this guy's serious. He actually cares about me and what I have going on. He's not just like everybody else. And you're like,
Exactly. Exactly.
and yeah, it resonates. Everybody wants to be cared for, and everybody wants to basically share their value in a sense. So, all right. So I mean, why do you do this in a sense? The question is, what makes you tick? So you told me about your business and a whole bunch that goes into it, and even now, your specialties. So that's cool. So what is the reason why you wake up in the morning and do this, and why'd you start your own business?
Um, well, first, I just enjoy real estate in general. It's just something I've always had a passion for. It's in my family, obviously, as I told you. So, it's a natural fit for me. And I really enjoy helping people. Certain aspects of being an attorney just were not attractive to me. There's a lot of avenues you could take, and a lot of areas of practice that you can go into that are just very adversarial, a lot of stress, a lot of fighting, and I'm just not that kind of guy. And it makes me feel great helping somebody out with whatever their needs are. And I think being a real estate attorney kind of, it fulfills that in my life, and it's great to be able to help somebody out with their problem, and see the smile on their face when we're done with whatever it may be, whether it's getting a zoning approval or someone buying their first home. It's it's a great feeling to know that I was able to contribute and make it easier for them and not make it more difficult for them, that like some attorneys do, so
That's cool. Hey,
yeah,
that's awesome, man.
yeah, it's very fulfilling.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, helping people is the most fulfilling thing, I think, in the world, realistically.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, it's nice when it's funny because like if you get like let's say you make a sale or something like that, at least for me, it's a very short-lived victory, you know. I get super excited, but it literally probably lasts about 20 minutes and then I'm like, okay, now what do I have to do? You know,
yeah,
what's the next thing? But when you help somebody out and you know you help them, it kind of sticks with you a little bit longer in a sense.
it does. And then
Um,
when that person refers someone to you with the word, you're basically putting in the good word for you, that they did this for me, they'll help you out. That's the best. It's even better because
yeah.
you know, they're vouching for you already, and you did such a good job with them. They're referring you, and that's kind of how you got to grow.
Yeah.
That's how you grow your business.
Yeah, find your cheerleaders.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, one of my clients I always laugh with every time they've been inviting me to events and they literally are like my cheerleaders. They're like, "Oh, you gotta meet Tom. He's great. He does this, that, whatever." And I'm like, I gotta bring you guys everywhere with me, you know, which is just awesome. You know,
Yeah, it's a great
you really
feeling.
love that. Okay,
Great
so
feeling.
this next question is just totally like from left field in a sense. It can be anything in life. It's not necessarily like a something to fear about, but
Sure.
have you ever won at anything in life? Literally anything at all. It can be something as a youth, a teenager, in your adult life, anything at all. Have you ever won at anything?
Yeah, I mean, I've won. I've won championships playing sports. I'm trying to think. I'm not trying to. I'm trying to keep it a little more personal than business wise. Um, Jeez. I could just go, I'm winning already in life, but that's such a pompous thing to say, right? Um, I don't know. I mean, just you wake up in the morning every day, it's a victory. That's what I could say about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We're lucky enough to be living in America and enjoying and living great lives. Because it could be a lot worse, and for a lot of people have it a lot worse off than we do. So,
yeah. I think that's the
um,
best answer right there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree big time because I wake up every morning and I am extremely grateful. I was having this conversation the other night with somebody and I said, I don't have everything that I want in my life, let's say. You know, I still aspire to have a lot of things and obtain like a family of my own and all these things, but I wake up every day like begging God and life just don't take it away from me because
Yeah,
I'm so grateful for everything that I have, you know.
yeah, absolutely. We had an issue with my wife last year where she almost passed away. So the fact that, we're all alive and we're all still a family, it's quite a huge victory on that front. And thank God every day nothing
Yeah.
bad happened. So
Yeah,
you could say
seriously.
that's my big win for life,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's I totally hear you on that front.
Yeah.
God bless her for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, well, all right. I think that was honestly the best answer because most people I ask that question to, they usually just tell me a story, but you like gave me
I
the
know
answer I wasn't
I got
looking
all like
for.
Buddhist. I got all Buddhist on.
Yeah, but that was awesome. That's
All
great. No, that's exactly the type of stuff I'm looking for though.
right, cool.
Okay, so this is actually kind of even a good segue. Um, what are core values or even cultural beliefs that you had, let's say, when you were growing up or at a younger age, that now in your adult life or even just where you are now that you've had to change over time? So I always bring this up as an example. Just growing up, I've had a lot of like stigmas against like financial, success and struggles against money, and people basically telling me money doesn't grow on trees in a sense, those kinds of things. And I've had to like, remove those from myself because not necessarily, I mean, yes, money technically does grow on trees. It's like it's a flower, but like, it's just I look at it much different these days. So, is there anything in your life that you could kind of pinpoint that you've had to change as you've gotten older?
Yeah. I'll pinpoint two things. The first thing it was always read the fine print. Like I've always, going to law school, obviously you learn that, but even before I went to law school, you're a young guy and you see things on TV and you take them at face value. And, you basically don't believe everything you read. And I've learned as I've gotten older to not believe everything as it's presented to me, and, do some digging, look for the truth, just come up with your own conclusions, do your own, think for yourself and don't let other people think for you. Because I see that a lot, especially today. People get their news from like TikTok and Twitter and stuff, and it's a terrible thing because nobody does their research. No one knows how to do critical thinking anymore, and it's a problem. And even in my generation, you gotta learn that more and more. So that's something I've learned. And the second thing was, I had a habit of starting things and never finishing them. I've learned no matter what, especially now with the business, like you're starting it, you're going to keep going. You know what I mean? That was something I did in my early 20s. I would start a lot of things and stop them. And it was a bad habit I got into. And I learned to overcome that, it's a very much a psychological thing. And it's you got to have a lot of discipline and that sort of thing. And I've learned to overcome that, and, the best piece of advice I got from my father was just show up every day. Just get there on time and show up and do the work. And it's simple as it is. It sounds simple, but it definitely works. Just show up and then do it. And that's it. And there's no, don't overthink it. There's nothing to overthink. Just go ahead and do the work. So, and I think that every day now, just do it. And just like Nike says, right. But it's true. It's a simple saying, but it works.
Yeah, for sure. I also, as you were saying it, it just kept like resonating with me that it's trusting yourself in a nutshell,
Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. I'm glad you brought that up. I've learned to be more confident as an attorney, because when you're starting out, you don't know anything. You don't. Law school is completely different than practicing law, for the most part. So I've learned as I practice more and more that I do know what I'm talking about. I do know my stuff. It's, you have to, that confidence took a while to, and I think that's what made me feel good in starting the business. I have the confidence now in my abilities as an attorney. When you start off as a young attorney, you're not always confident in what you're saying or what you're doing. But as you get older, you kind of build that up, and then yeah, I'm an attorney. I know what I'm talking about. There's that imposter syndrome, and I'm sure you've heard that before. And a lot of people get that when they start a new profession. And I have that as well. Like people going to me for advice when I was young, I'm like, okay, like that's me. I'm the guy now. It's weird in the beginning, but then you keep doing it and keep doing it, and you realize, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. So that's something I overcame also.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's huge. It's becoming a professional, realistically, 10,000 hours, right?
Exactly. You've done the work, you've accumulated the hours and the experience, and you do know your stuff better than you even think you know it. You do, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I've always really thought if I've ever really stuck with something for like a solid 3 years, I feel like I hit some level of like professionalism, because it's like that's a lot of time at something, and you usually learn the ins and outs by like the 3 year mark. Like you know it pretty well by that time. I think 5 years is technically 10,000 hours if you're working a 40-hour work week, but I feel like if you're working 12-hour days or longer, then you probably hit that a little bit sooner, kind of
I've hit
thing.
that way earlier. Yeah.
But I truly believe that, I didn't know anything about a lot of this stuff when I first started out, especially sales. Like when I first started in sales, oh my God, if I could go back and see myself, it would probably be some of the funniest things, making like cold calls and stumbling on the phone and having old men talk to me for like 20 minutes for no reason. Like,
oh yeah. When I was a broker, I was 23 years old. I'm going into people's homes and telling them what they should sell it for, that they've owned it for 30 years. I'm some kid. Who the hell am I coming in your house?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a big hurdle you got to overcome. They're like, they see you, they know you're 23, they know you got no experience, and like, why the hell should I listen to you for? So that's on top of just trying to get them to list their property with you. You got to overcome all those obstacles. So that's always a tough thing.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right. So cool. I mean, I love everything you just said, even so as far as like trusting yourself, as far as reading the small print in a sense, those are really two great things that I think everybody has to build, basically showing up and doing what you're supposed to do, even when you don't really want to, not necessarily know you have to, but like,
And the days you show up when you don't want to are the best days. Usually those are the rewarding days because you did it anyway,
absolutely.
you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So I love that stuff. This also kind of goes really nicely into the next one because I like to ask everybody if they are spiritual at all and if they use it to like move them forward. Not necessarily, if you practice any religion, but maybe meditate or do some kind of quiet time to deal with any types of like stress or anything like that.
I try I try to exercise just because that gets any stress out and it kind of sets me up. Try to do it early in the morning. It kind
Hmm.
of sets me up for the day. I get all the stress out and it really helps calm me down and helps me focus. You know what I mean? So I do a lot of that. I've been trying to watch my diet. So I've noticed that's helped a ton also. Um, and honestly, running your own business, you have to stay positive. You can't let the negative thoughts come in and they'll just kill you. It's like a cancer. You
Hmm.
can't have it. So my spirituality is just, I'm not being like, you know, absurdly positive, positive where I'm thinking, it's thoughts that are unreal. I'm not unrealistically positive, but I'm positive in the sense that I got to keep moving forward, just trust the process
Hmm.
and it'll work out in the end. As long as you stay disciplined, you keep networking, you keep doing the good work, it will work out. You just got to trust the process and know that it's not going to be like this forever and it's going to get better. So that's the attitude I come in with, and some days are tougher than others, depending, if I get a client on it, if I get a new client, then it's like the best day ever. Other days, you don't hear from anyone for a week and you're like, oh no, what's going on? But like, it's part of the process. It's the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows of just being an attorney and running a business. So
Absolutely. I resonate big time with everything you just
yeah.
said, like real big as far as really putting your mindset in the right place. I'm at the point now, like if I hear somebody say something, even if it's somebody I love and care about, a family member, if they say something to me that like puts me in a negative place, like thinks about me in a bad way or whatever it is, I have to like actually tell myself, don't listen to them. Just remove that thought out of your head because it's unhealthy for you. And it actually like it works in a sense because it's I have to have this wall up constantly because everybody around me wants to kind of just like throw, everybody.
Nobody's going through what you're going through. They'll never understand it. And you got there's a lot of people that are not happy unless they're miserable.
Hmm.
I see that a lot with family members and colleagues and acquaintances and that sort of thing. And I try to keep my distance from those people because they're not going to add any value to your life
Yeah.
personally, professionally, whatever. Then what are they doing in your life to begin with? So as I got older, I've learned to either cut those people out of my life completely or just, keep it keep it small, keep my distance, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
you learn that as you get older that you don't need a million friends. You don't,
Mhm.
no matter what Facebook tells you. You don't need 1,000 friends. Yeah, I got a core group of about 7 guys, and that's all I need. And those guys have been for me in the toughest times of my life and the best times. So you know who your true friends are, and then and they're all good guys, and they're at different levels in their life, and you strive to be like them. And we're all trying to improve in our life constantly. So that's always a good thing when you surround yourself with guys that are, challenging you to step it up because, you all get better from it and you all live better lives and it's nothing but good things. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's one of the most important things to surround yourself by good people and people who have good thoughts that will push you forward. I had to remove a lot of people that I was friends with in my life just because I was like, yeah, this isn't a good idea.
especially at your age, I'm sure you get it more than I do with just guys that are they're lazy. I see it all the time in their 20s. No offense, you're not obviously, but like I see it all the time. You could even when you go to stores, there's people who are help wanted signs everywhere. Nobody wants to work.
Hmm.
Everyone thinks they're entitled, and it's very tough. And for someone like you, this is probably the best time to own a business because if you got any kind of motor, any kind of drive, you can just kill it, and you are killing it already from what you've been telling me. So it's like the world is yours, man. It's an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing that's crazy is I go to all these networking events and any event that I've been going to as a business owner, I never meet anybody that's my age as a business owner. And if I do, it's usually because their dad owns the business and they're just now doing the networking.
Yeah, right.
But it's very rare that I'm meeting people that are around my age. I do here and there, but I went to one on Tuesday. I was literally the youngest guy in there for sure. And like, which is cool. It's great in a sense. It
Yeah,
also,
you stick out in a place like that. That's a good thing, you know?
yeah, for sure. I ended up talking to some guy that was like a billionaire. I was like, oh crap.
There you go.
Yeah, you never know who you meet in some of these places. Very cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's definitely an issue with the younger generation. I mean, I can check my like even right now that there's three people that I know that are like playing video games.
Yeah.
It's Thursday at 11:15, and
Yeah. What
you're
the hell are you doing?
like, what are you doing? And it's
Yeah.
like, as much as I actually like these people, I think they're good people. I've tried so many times to just be like, what are you doing? Look at your life like it's a video game. Don't play someone else's game. Play your own game of
Right.
life. And like the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, man. Some people just want to float, and that's cool too.
Yeah,
It is
yeah,
what it is.
absolutely. If that's what you want to do, that's cool. It's just it saddens me when I see people that are like 27, 28 years old still living at home with their parents. When I'm like, you have a career job and you're making decent money, like there's no need for you to still be living home, being lazy and all that. But I don't know. It's an interesting world we live in for sure.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
all right, so I just have a few more questions. The last one is the opposite of the last question I just asked you. So it's talks about fear. We kind of mentioned it real quickly, but do you use like any methods to deal with fear that's coming your way? Like, let's say you're having a slow week or something like that, and you're all inside your head. Is there anything that you can do to push yourself through that?
Um, the fear kind of fuels me the fear of failure always fuels me every day. I'm putting myself out there. I'm starting this firm. I don't want to fail. I want to be successful. And you don't want somebody to see you in 3 or 4 years and be like, oh, he failed. Look at him. He didn't make it happen. So even if it's a slow week, I'm always going through my Rolodex of contacts, trying to set up lunches, set up meetings, whatever, just to get my face in front of people, even if it's somebody I've had lunch with before, because the repetition is where it's at. And developing trust with people, you got to have a few lunches and a few meetings. Just they're not going to trust to refer people to you until they trust you. So
Yeah.
my method is basically I like to meet people I like to have 2 to 3 meetings a week with people, just to discuss business or whatever. And I try to make it different people. I don't try to meet with the same people all the time because I'm trying to expand my network. At the same time, I like to do repetitive lunches with people like once a month, because you develop a trust, and you develop a little bit of a rapport with somebody. And I always get back to that because I know you're in the marketing business, but the referrals are better than any advertising you can do, because it's your people are vouching for you,
Yeah.
and they've already got the lead set up for you, and it's just basically they're teeing it up for you a lot of times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when it's the fear, yeah, just the fear of failure is motivation, and I always try to keep myself busy and doing something productive to move the business forward, whether it's having a lunch, going through my contacts. Maybe I'll sit down and I'll jot maybe different ways I can develop business, or try to find a deal for someone or a piece of land, or reach out to brokers I know and see what they got cooking, and reach out to some of my investors and see if they're interested in because yeah, we do have a billable hour, but in the beginning, you're trying to drum up business. A lot of it you're doing for free, and that's
Yeah.
just the way it is. But
Yeah.
in the end, you will get paid off. You'll get paid handsomely at the end,
Hmm.
from doing all your hard work. Because then, that's how you grow. You just got to hustle. You got to keep grinding. You got to keep thinking of new ways to get leads and get business and that sort of thing. So whether it's a slow week or not, the fear of failure is what motivates me, and I'm constantly working on the business. This. We had a discussion about my marketing, and you're going to be handling some of that. And yeah, I did my own website, and a couple of months went by, and I don't think the reach is what it should be. And you have to know what you're good at too, and you have to know what you're not good at. And I realized my marketing isn't where it should be, but I can't do the marketing. So the fear that I'm not doing something better for my marketing kind of motivated me to hire you to handle some of that. So, you know, there's different kinds of fear that motivate me, but it's just, it all motivates me to do something productive with the business at the end of the day,
Yeah. No,
failure. So
absolutely. I like everything that you just had to say there as far as
I hope it wasn't,
fear.
I know I was rambling a little bit. I'm just trying to put it,
No, no, you didn't
but
ramble at all. It was clear because I had like when I first started this, it was like September 2020. I had this mentor that I was talking to on like probably like twice a month. And one of the things I was worried, like probably the first few months, 6 months into doing this was sometimes I would have to wait to get paid by customers. And when you're first starting out and you only have like 3 clients and one of them takes 2 months to pay you, you're like, oh shit, like this is a problem. Like,
yeah.
I don't have money right now. So like that was happening and I was like, oh my gosh, like it was stressing me out big time. And he was like, stop focusing on the old money and focus on the new money and go find new clients. And I was like, he was like, just take that fear of this person not paying you and just put it into finding new clients. And ever since I did that, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And then you just go find new clients. You forget all about that old money because you
Yeah.
know you're going to get paid eventually. It's just sometimes people, they suck and they like to pay late. Okay, fine. But you
Right.
push right through that and find other people, and then it expands even more. And then you have more money coming in. You're like, oh, okay. I stressed out about this for literally no reason because I could have just pushed the envelope a little bit harder. And then, here we
And
are.
even if they did pay you on time, you still haven't found a new client anyway. So either way, you
Exactly.
have to do that. That action has to be taken whether they pay you or not. So you might as well
Exactly.
just do it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like you're stressing over something for no reason. So it was a huge thing for me to just like take that fear of it being like, oh no, what's gonna happen? Who knows? It's just like just go do it. Go find new clients. And I would just scour the internet, call people. I got a call 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I might have even told you this from a real estate woman who I called like a year and a half prior and was like, hey, I want to work with you. I'm just like, that's crazy. So you never know, you
Yeah,
really
and
never know.
with the fear thing, obviously, there's the huge fear of starting the business and getting into it. That's a huge, just doing that, taking that step and quitting a secure job to go do that. That was a huge fear to overcome.
Yeah.
But I had the support of my family and friends. I know I have the experience and the knowledge to do it. There's no reason why I can't do it. So once I had that thought process, the fear kind of dissipated, and I was like, let's just go forward and do this. And once you start moving forward and you start proceeding, the fear goes away, and you're in it. You know what I mean? You're in the business at that point. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly it. Cool, man. I mean, this is great. And I think even just that last question was like spot on. Is there anything that you're currently working on with the business? I mean, I know we're working on something, me and you, but is there any like something exciting that you're working on, new ventures or something like that?
I'm working with a gentleman out in Suffolk County. He owns some farmland. We're putting a deal together where he's looking to sell some parcels and do some seller financing and a couple other things. So that was a nice referral that I received from an estate attorney I do a lot of work with out in Riverhead. So that talking about getting back to the client and doing good work, that getting this particular client was the result of that. The one of the associates that works for this particular attorney I went to law school with, and she referred a sale of a co-op to me with this woman who was the administrator of an estate.
Mm.
Handled the sale perfectly. Nothing went wrong. It was all smooth sailing. She sent me a couple other referrals, handled those well, and now I'm kind of like their referral source for the most part for the real estate end. You know what I mean? They send me a lot of clients, and that's the other thing too. When you do a lot of good work and people send you clients, you better make sure you do it right, and you better make sure you do it correctly. So going back to your fear question, my fear of screwing up a referral, a matter from a referral source like that keeps me on the straight and narrow, and I make sure I do the work right, because I don't want to screw that up, because not only is it going to affect my business, it's going to affect his business, and that's double damage. And I don't want to take money out of anyone's pocket. I want to do the right thing by the client and by the referral source and by myself. So, you got a lot of things going on there that you got to make sure they're done correctly. Where was I going with that? I'm sorry. Before that, what was the
Just
question?
what you're currently working on.
Oh, working on, right. Yeah. So, yeah, right. The flower guy. Okay. Not the flower, the farm guy. So yeah, I'm working on that. We recently just had, an approval in the village of Freeport. We had a client who was, they bought a 2-story commercial building on Main Street there, which is like the main drag in the village of Freeport. It's commercial on the first floor and second floor. They were looking to change the use to mixed use. So they wanted to do 2 commercial spots on the first floor and put a 2-bedroom apartment upstairs in the second floor, which that required a use variance, which if you're a land use and zoning attorney, that 9 times out of 10, that's the kiss of death. And they're very hard to get from any municipality, because it's a challenge. The precedent doesn't favor you at all. But in this particular instance, we were fortunate enough to have a few other buildings on the same street, actually, and even across the street, receive the same kind of variance relief we were asking for, including use variance. The building across the street, they built a 4-story building with apartments, and it was mixed use also, and they had to get a use variance. And we also needed a parking variance for our building as well. And the building across the street got that as well. And there were a few other buildings years back that got the same kind of relief. So we were able to get the use variance based on prior rulings by the village. So we were able to, at the end of the day, get the approval for the client. So
that's cool.
Going back to our discussion about helping people out and seeing them happy at the end, with the end result, that was one that was huge for me, because it was the first real zoning matter I had when I started the firm. And she was a woman who, she's an investor, but she's not like a huge investor. She's got a couple of properties, and this was a big risk that she took, because there's no guarantee you're going to get that approval. Then what do? You're stuck with a building that, you can't rent out, or you can't get good cash flow out of. So the fact I was able to help her get those approvals along with the team of people we had. She was thrilled, and it was really satisfying to see that, and then because of that work, she's gonna, I'm helping her out with a few other things, and she's referred me to some friends. So
there you go.
Like I said, the good work, the approval, helping people out, having that attitude moving forward, it's leading to more business and, the growth of the firm. So it's pretty cool to say. And it's very encouraging to see the momentum. The process is the process is the hardest thing, but it's also the coolest thing to see, because as I move forward and I keep moving, and you got the momentum going, you see the business growing, and you stay positive, and it's going to keep getting better and better as you move forward. So that was a very rewarding one. And
the name of the game.
I put that on my LinkedIn too, I believe, because it was
cool.
It was a thrill.
So the next thing is goals then. What goals do you have for even just this year?
Well, my goal is to be profitable this year, because according to my tax return, I was not this year or last year. I mean, I only started in October, but it was just, I would like to be profitable and substantially profitable, but we'll see how that works out. And my goal is just to keep growing the business. I've been talking to some lenders, perhaps maybe get on a couple of banks, pay, outside counsel lists and stuff like that, just kind of have some steady income coming in. And just to keep growing. And, hopefully maybe if I can get busy enough by the end of the year, I can hire some kind of an assistant.
There you go.
Little things, or a paralegal,
Yeah, absolutely.
The goal is to grow enough and get busy enough where I need help. So if I can do that and afford it, that's the goal at this point,
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the name of the game, growth.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So if people wanted to work with you or even just reach out to you and have a conversation, where would they be able to find you?
You could find me everywhere. You can go to my website, curciolawpllc.com. You can hit me up on LinkedIn. I don't know what the address is, but just Anthony C. Curcio. It should pop up as a managing member of Curcio Law. And if you can call my work at 516-809-8483. If you want to text or call me directly on my cell, you can do that as well. Phone number 631-943-8351. Email is acurcio@curciolawpllc.com. So as I said, I'm very accessible. You can hit me up on any of those ways, and I'll be happy to talk with you about how I can help you with any real estate needs you may have. So,
Yeah. Cool, man. Awesome. This has been
this was
great.
fun. This was
Yeah,
fun.
I mean, a lot of really good information. I think it's cool to even learn about you a little bit more and get your perspective on follow the winners. I think we're gonna not I think I know we're gonna have to have you back on the show at least in like, 6 months, a year from now. We'll do like a
Do an
check-in
update.
with you, Yeah, we'll do an update and see, where you're at and what's stayed the same, what's changed, those kinds of things.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, I'll have some good news for you. We'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah, exactly. All right, cool. Well, thank you, Anthony. I really appreciate this.
All right, Tom. It was good talking to you.